Alright, party people. I am driving to the beach. Welcome back to the podcast, back to Tomboy Official. Let me safely back out of my driveway. Is today day 26 already? I think we're day 26. At least yesterday I said we were day 25, so I don't know. I need to actually check the numbers that I wrote, but I think I said day 25 yesterday, so I'm gonna assume I was right, which would make today day 26. So Easter Sunday, day 26. Is it still Passover? I'm doing terrible at my cultural awareness. I know it's been a full moon, so I know pagans probably had something going on too for their cultures. A lot of lunar calendar culture, following cultures. Just happy holidays to everybody who has some kind of significant thing going on. I've enjoyed the full moon a couple days last week, so that was very pleasant. Let me roll up my windows because my car is loud enough as it is. But yeah, day 26, Aina's Keys by Aina Brion. Part of what she was talking about in the next couple pages. I'll be real, I didn't really read it all yet. I just skimmed. I'm kind of losing a little bit of motivation towards the book. Like, not that it's bad, it's a good book. It's just I'm kind of a little restless lately. I'll read the rest of it later, but I just read a little bit, like a paragraph or so, and I was like, oh, like it started talking about fulfillment, others, roles and fulfillment of needs. I don't really know the whole topic because I didn't really thoroughly read, but either way, I'm headed to the beach, gonna hydrate, get some fresh air, listen to the ocean. Probably not gonna jump in today, but I think during the week, I'm still clearing my throat a little bit, but I'm not like in a full cough anymore. Today was foggy this morning, but I saw the sun started coming out in about 30 minutes ago. Did my laundry, it's drying right now. Had some breakfast. So basically, yeah, talking about fulfillment of needs, if that's the topic at hand. I think we all kind of have needs. Like, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about family relationships at the moment. I'd kind of almost rather talk about other relationships, like kind of maybe more friendships, anything between friendships to romantic. I mean, this kind of applies with family relationships too, but I don't know, my focus is kind of elsewhere. I'm kind of not really focused on family at the moment. Like, I'm kind of more focused on my own relationship developments outside of my family. Not that I'm not trying to develop them with my family, but I'm kind of like in a neutral space with a lot of that. Like, I know what I'm looking for. Like I've mentioned, like I'm trying to focus on like the health aspect, trying to keep healthy methods of communication and just live a healthy lifestyle and try to keep my mood in a place where, you know, I can keep the household space healthy on my end, and whatever anybody else wants to do, they can do whatever they got to do to kind of get through things. But I'm kind of trying not to let things get to me, trying not to let too much really happen. Let me take this other route. To try to avoid not turning at a light here, because there's a turn signal that I'm turning at now, and then the other next turn is where I usually turn at, but it looks a little busy on the highway right now. So, all right. So yeah. So yeah, when it comes to relationships and fulfillment, I'm not like too sure like exactly what certain things look like with you know, families. Like, I would say when it comes to families, in all honesty, I feel like the fulfillment part usually, at least to me, seems to be focused towards like you know, just, you know, family togetherness and things like that. Like, I don't know. It's not that I don't know anything about families. Like, I don't know. I'm not in the mood to talk about it today. But yeah, so when it comes to like fulfillment with like friends, dates, whatever, getting to know somebody that could potentially be like a dating situation, I think a lot of us kind of have experiences with that. All right, people, keep driving. A lot of us have like experiences where, you know, we kind of want to, you know, like, everyone wants to be fulfilled, and I don't think anybody wants to be told that they are not, like, fulfilling somebody else. Like, I think everybody wants to be, like, you know, everyone would probably say that, like, oh yeah, a good relationship is where, well, part of a good relationship would be, you know, I'm fulfilled and my partner is fulfilled, or however many partners are involved are fulfilled and comfortable with whatever the setup is, with a lot of different levels. But I think one good place to start, which is maybe a place that not everybody really starts, but one good place to start is with relationships, I'm trying to park and find some place that faces the water but isn't parked by a whole bunch of other cars. Yeah, just trying to, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like, trying to keep things, like, comfortable for everybody. And trying to, you know, create, like, safe spaces for people. Like, that's definitely helpful. Like, I'm a big believer that if a person isn't like if a person isn't like, you know, really like if a person isn't really what's the word, like if I don't know, I'm trying to think if this is really what I actually think, like think through if it's really what I actually think or if it's just something that's coming to my mind at the moment. But yeah, I kind of would say that you know, along the lines of like if a person can't have like a vulnerable connection in a relationship, then there's probably some aspect of fulfillment missing. And it's hard to know exactly what that is. Like there's so many different things. But one of the maybe more important things is the I guess the communication. Sorry, I'm kind of having trouble like spitting it out. I'm like thinking. I'm trying to think as I'm talking, and I was kind of driving and looking around a little bit at my surroundings. But yeah, surfers are out. Maybe I'm a little earlier than usual because the surfers are out. Like usually they're not out, but I don't know. The sets aren't looking like too. Yeah, they've got some appeal. They're kind of lower sets, but the waves are kind of breaking pretty close to the shore, like literally like on the shore. They're not really swelling too far out. Actually, it's looking nice. It's not choppy at all. It's kind of calm. It's kind of calm out. It's windy. It's foggy. It was sunny at the house. By the time I got over here to the beach, it's still foggy. I can see fog all along the peninsula still. So, yeah, it's still foggy this morning, but it's not too early. It's like 11:47 right now, so it's not that early. But yeah, it was really foggy this morning. So the marine layer is pretty thick out. I wasn't sure if it was going to be stormy or not. I parked where there's kind of people standing out, maybe like 4 or 5 parking spaces away, talking to one another. And there's somebody in the car 1 space away from where I parked that has their window cracked a little amount. So I'm probably going to crack my window a little bit because it's going to get warm in here otherwise. But yeah, that's kind of what I would say is that it's kind of hard for people's communication, you know, to improve. I think if there's not really a lot of trust involved, that somebody else isn't gonna have an attitude that is understanding towards the other person. So like if person A can't really easily talk to person B, I think that, or person B can't easily talk to person A, that is probably, there's gonna be some kind of root issue with the with fulfillment in that relationship. But I mean, it's not really to say that like other people have to fulfill us. We can fulfill ourselves, but there is kind of a give and take in relationships, though. It's like somebody can feel unfulfilled, and I feel like especially when there's more of a commitment, where it's like, okay, like we need to be on the same page, whether people are living together or dating, and especially, I don't know if it's the more exclusive things get. Like, I don't really know for sure if that's accurate to say that, like, the more exclusive a relationship is, the more maybe people might rely on the fulfillment of others. I mean, I think there might be some truth to it, but there's always like some kind of exception. But I mean, the reason why I'm saying that though is like, I think about some couples, and it's like, say there's like one person who either isn't emotionally available, or they're not physically available, or sexually available, or intellectually available, or even in proximity they're not like close, like they're distant, as in like live far away or something. I think any of those, or a combination of those, if that person, if the other person who's kind of more available on some of those levels or all of those levels, and the other person is not available on some or all of those levels, I think the person who's more available on those levels might feel a little unfulfilled, I would say. Just because, like, if it's exclusive, then the people can't really get, like, where else are they supposed to go? If there's some kind of understanding that it's like, okay, we're supposed to supplement and complement each other, it's like, well, and it's like, it's not good, I don't think, to like fully rely on another person. Like, if I have emotional needs or whatever kind of needs, I can't just like put that all on one person and just be like, you need to be there for me for like every single thing. Like for myself, I would say one reason why I do look at other at people's friendships, I look at people's like, not really in a judgmental way, but to me it's kind of like, I don't know if it's a red flag, but it can be a little bit of, a concern for me early on if I meet somebody who doesn't really have friends. The reason why I say that is because I'm like, well, I don't think I could be there for somebody all the time for everything. Because if there's times where I have stuff going on at the same time where they have stuff going on, I don't know if I'm going to be like the best person to really be like trying to, help me and help them at the same time, depending what it is, but, I don't really think that would be helpful. And, I've had a couple friends. I don't know if I've ever been like in a relationship with somebody that, yeah, I have. Been in a relationship with somebody who wasn't like, didn't really know anybody, didn't really have like family, or family that they could connect to, or they weren't really making friends, they weren't dating other people, they weren't working with people, like they didn't have coworker friends either. I felt like it was a little like, I don't know, they didn't like put a lot of stuff on me though, but I felt like it was almost like the opposite. Like, they didn't rely on anybody almost ever. Like, they didn't rely on me for anything. They didn't like, like if they had something going on, I just wouldn't hear from them. Like they would just like disappear from the face of the planet until they dealt with whatever issue they were dealing with, whether it was financial or just stressed and working a lot more, or maybe some family drama or some other kind of, maybe they tried to like meet somebody or apply for a job or something and it didn't work out, and like, however long it took them to get over that was however long it took them to kind of get back to me and be like, hey, like, how have you been this last month? And it's like where were you? And they would explain it, and I don't know if that was difficult. I really don't. It's not a very significant memory to me, but I felt like it was really hard to like kind of connect with that person when those types of things happened. I kind of noticed like I was kind of like I would take a distance. I would take some distance from them and be like, oh well, they're doing this thing again, and but I also wasn't like, hey, like you can rely on me more, because I didn't want to like say that because I didn't know what that would entail. And I never really got into to it with them, like what exactly, like why they took that approach, or why they like why they took that approach, or why they were like not too open about it until like after the fact. Like to them, that was just kind of how they did things. And part of me, I was like, I kind of respect that, because at least they weren't like putting a lot of stuff on me. But then at the same time, I was like, okay, like, well, what am I doing here? Like I was kind of like, I don't know if this person really trusts me, or if they, if they really want to be pretty deeply involved. Like they seem to kind of like to have like a lot of distance in that way. So it was kind of interesting. Like I haven't met a lot of people like that, but it's kind of one person that comes to mind. But I've never, I don't think since then, really been like too involved with anybody else who had kind of a style like that. So yeah, that's kind of like one extreme. And then I think I've had some friends that, like, I don't want to say I was like their only friend. I don't really know, but I feel like I was maybe their only friend. Like, because I never heard them talk about anybody else. They never seemed to like hang out with other people. They never seemed to like do much else with other people. And then whenever they were having any kind of issue, they were just like involving me with it, and like kind of telling me every single thing that was going wrong. And I was kind of like, in a way, I was kind of like, man, do they ever have like a good day? Like, is anything ever good? Like it seems like their days are like just crappy all the time. So I wasn't really sure how to like approach that. Like I was kind of just like it's fine, we were friends, we got along good. It wasn't like I wouldn't call it toxic or negative or any. Well, it was negative, like as in like they had a lot of things going on all the time. But other than them like telling it to me, like they didn't seem to have problems with me, and I didn't really have any other problems with them other than that. I didn't really know what to do with all that stuff. I was like, it would be like back to back, like, oh, like this person got on my nerves, and this other person, and now my boss, and then this coworker, and this other coworker, and then I want to quit my job, and then like the landlord, and it's like every single person, they had a problem with some kind of situation with them. But I did kind of hear them out, because I was like, like, I could tell that they kind of were like a really sensitive person that kind of needed, people that were kind of open-minded and kind of genuine, compassionate people. And for some reason, they didn't really have a lot of compassionate people around them. And to me, I've only seen them mostly on my interactions with them. And I felt like to me they were always respectful, they were always nice. Um, we never had any like problems between the two of us really. Like we had some disagreements about like some racial stuff, some LGBT stuff. Like I kind of knew where they stood on certain things, but it's kind of like, it wasn't like we were disagreeing. Like it was kind of like they said something, and then I was like, oh, I didn't know they kind of had that perspective. But again, I was like, it was their perspective, and they were never like, disrespectful towards me. It's just the way that they looked at, black people and slavery and its impact and that kind of thing. Like they kind of didn't really, like they kind of had like kind of like an overview uh, that I wouldn't really have. But then I could also see how they could have that overview because they're from a majority culture and their experience is so different from mine that I could see how they maybe wouldn't fully understand. Um, and even like the LGBT stuff, like they're not an LGBT person. It was kind of like they kind of were like, I'm not saying that I like take like a victim role or that I kind of like feel like I'm victimized or anything. Um, I mean, it happens, but I'm not like, I wouldn't say that overall I'm victimized, like that's not how I would describe my life. Um, I'm part of a system that definitely tries to victimize me on many different levels, but most of the people I have in my life are not that way towards me. I come across those people, but they're not like people that I have like on a regular basis in my life, like every day, that are like impacting me. Like I don't have like racist neighbors or like homophobic people who are like, bullying me or anything. Like there's nothing like that I have, thankfully, that's going on. I know a lot of people deal with that kind of stuff on a regular basis, but luckily I'm not dealing with that on a regular basis. So I kind of tried to listen to what they were saying about like the what kind of their perspectives on stuff, and I kind of noticed that they kind of just, because their life is so different from mine, they kind of couldn't really see my perspective on certain stuff. Like when it came to different minority status types of situations, they kind of couldn't see it clearly, and they kind of took the approach that, if somebody like nobody's of like, they kind of couldn't see like, how it is to be a victim of a system from my perspective. But then I feel like from their perspective, they could kind of see like being a male, that there are certain things that males have to deal with that others don't. As far as like a lot of the, ego stuff and kind of like emotionless, like kind of people kind of pushing these ideas about like males should not, I'm not saying I think this way at all, but like males shouldn't be emotional, males shouldn't cry, males shouldn't be sensitive, males should always just kind of like have their chest puffed up and competing against others, and like taking these like authoritarian roles and like trying to like push their weight around, and like come from this like uh, ego perspective of masculinity, that they can't appear weak in any way or show any kind of like gentleness or anything. Like they, not that they like, they kind of believed that being around in society, others were kind of placing that perspective on them, and it was mostly, that's their view of like why they had so many problems with so many other people, was because of that kind of stuff, like authoritarian kind of viewpoints of like bosses being authoritarian, males being authoritarian. So they were often having like issues with other people treating them poorly, and they felt pretty victimized by other people like that. But then like when it came to like me, they were kind of like, oh, I don't really think that people who are LGBT have like that there's like a system that's like oppressive, or with race it's like, and I'm kind of like, the way I would say it is like, I don't feel like those things that the system has like held me back necessarily, like not fully. Like I think I've been like overlooked for things, or like skipped over for things, or like avoided, and not really treated equally a lot of the time. But I don't think that I have been, completely like not able to have opportunities that I want to have, like, ever, and you know, uh, like, I do think I have some control over it. I wouldn't say that like the system has full control. Um, but yeah, they kind of were. I don't really know. Like, that was kind of like where I never really delved more into it, because I was like, there's no point in like arguing with them, because it's like they kind of only just see things the way they see it. And I was like, okay, like, whatever, you can have your own opinions about things, but it's like, also it was like there's a lot of stuff that I was trying to like explain to them that like they will never understand, like they don't understand like LGBT relationships and dating. Like, they've never tried to like explore with other forms of dating or whatever. Like, I don't even think this person dates, and they don't really, it was just a lot of stuff. But um yeah, that's probably the only friend I can remember having that has kind of been like, you know, like, I felt like I was like the only person that they could like vent to, and I was kind of like, okay, like, this is it would be a little bit much sometimes, but also like they weren't like a jerk about it. Like, if I didn't like respond right away, or if I wasn't like, you know, wanting to read all the stuff that they have to say or whatever, um, I just left it alone. But for me, I was always just like trying to see their perspective on stuff, and I would just leave it at that. I would be like, okay, this is kind of how the world is going for them, and I felt like they were kind of like absorbed in their own pain with how things weren't going well for them, and couldn't really see outside of that too much. So, after a while, it wasn't really um, like, because they're always having a hard time with things. So it was kind of not really too fun. Um, like, we had some stuff we connected on, and then other than that, I kind of just was like avoiding all the other things until I really actually felt like, oh, like, I want to like catch up and like be there for them. But if I didn't really feel like it, I kind of honestly didn't. I was kind of like, okay, because it was like too much. But I I wouldn't say that they're not friends. Like, they're not a friend of mine. They're a friend of mine. We've definitely shared a lot. We don't see eye to eye on every single kind of complex topic, but I feel like that's fine. And I don't know how much of a role of fulfillment I play in their life. I think I think it's kind of nice to have somebody to like run really complicated topics by. Um, that's kind of what I like. I do like delving into kind of deep conversations with this person, uh, but um, you know, I'm not really. Sometimes I'm not really into like the day to day kind of like scenarios, but it's more like concepts and just like themes and ideas. I've definitely learned a lot from this person about a lot of different things. Like, they're really into a lot of alternative types of thinking, and I kind of really value that a lot. And I really like, when we do hang out, which we rarely do, but when we do hang out, I do enjoy being around them. So it's kind of like, I would say it's not like it's unfulfilling, but it's not really my typical type of friendship. It's kind of like, it's kind of a little bit of a strange friendship. Like, I don't have a lot of friendships that look like that. But I don't know, like, they keep coming around, so I think they like talking to me, but I don't really I'm not always available, especially lately because I've had so much other stuff going on. I'm like, I'm really not that available to anybody in all honesty. I'm very selective. I'm like, there are a few people I talk to regularly, and other than that, I've kind of like ignored pretty much every other person. So there's that. But yeah, those are kind of like extreme examples, I would say, when it comes to like dating or friends. But overall, I would say, things shift quickly. Like everybody's lives are kind of just ever changing, and it is kind of interesting to see, especially with the pandemic and then other stuff after the pandemic with the economy and all kinds of other, political things going on, and just people impacted on so many different levels. It's kind of interesting to see, how people come together and how some people are very selfish. Like I'm not trying to call anybody out. Like when I say that, I'm not even trying to think about like any particular person that I have in mind. I don't have anybody in mind when I'm saying that, but I just, I'm very observant of my surroundings, and I do notice, like, I do have some acquaintances and people that have taken like a very selfish approach. They don't talk to anybody anymore. They've kind of lost contact with everybody. They've kind of got their own stuff going on, and that's fine. I don't fault people for it. But I've definitely noticed some people being like really absorbed in their own stuff, and then I've also noticed the opposite of people, being more interested in having like a community connection and like trying to get closer to different people, form community and, friendships with groups of people and reuniting with people. And that's kind of like more my approach is like, especially since I'm in LA right now still. Still. I'm trying to I'm kind of seeing that being here in LA, I've definitely noticed some some different people, some different I'm trying to reconnect with a lot of people. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to reconnect to like get back involved in their lives or get back, connected to, having like a regular hangout or like rehash the past and like, try to create like a whole like repeat of, some of the, social types of hangouts and like, types of stuff that I used to do, and kind of like doing that kind of stuff locally, like the bonfire picnic kind of things, and the, church days and vespers and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not really trying to do like that kind of thing. Like, I just kind of want to, catch up, make sure fam's okay, take advantage of being a little bit closer distance, to be able to kind of see everybody and also not be working, so that I definitely have way more free time than I've ever had in my life. And so getting to kind of, play that role for a little bit temporarily, it's kind of like a one-time thing or like a temporary thing. I don't think I've really tried to create any real fulfillment. Like, I've definitely tied up some loose ends, and some people know how I feel on certain stuff. I've kind of had some experiences a little bit coming out to some people. Not a lot of people, but a little bit. And then kind of like a little bit of like deepening some relationships with maybe like a couple people locally that, you know, just because we can kind of hang out a little bit more and stuff. But it's kind of like a temporary thing. Like, I'm not really involved with anybody in a way where it's like, okay, we're gonna take this like further from now and like expand this into our future. Like, we're not like, I'm not like creating like a future, like a deep future connection with them. It's more like a general connection, like a general connection with them of like, we're in a similar space, we're kind of in a similar mindset, and you know, like as far as career paths and things like that, a lot of us are kind of hitting the reset button during this year, and we just happen to be in the same city, so it's like, why not, you know, catch up and like run things by each other and just kind of, you know, stay in touch a little bit. But I don't expect it to be like, I haven't like really developed anything too significant, you know, like I've really kind of kept to myself. But with some people I haven't. I've done just the opposite and kind of delved more in, and that's been kind of nice too. There are like a specific few people that I'm like, okay, this is pretty dope that we've been able to kind of pick up things kind of where, not where they left off, but pick up things kind of in a new time, in this new time, in a new way, with a lot of, you know, a lot of us have done a lot of kinds of like work on ourselves. And, you know, when we were interacting previously, a lot of us were like either studying or, you know, had newly moved or something, and like establishing kind of like those career connections with colleagues and things, and we're kind of focused on that, and like meeting new people in new cities that we moved to, and now we've all kind of come back. I know a lot of people in LA that have just come right on back, and so it's kind of almost funny that I know so many people that are back in LA right now, at the same time as I am. Like, I don't think I really fully thought it through, because I knew slowly that some people had moved back, but I didn't really think it through before I had moved last summer. I wasn't thinking like, oh yeah, we're gonna see each other all the time, or like, I did kind of worry like, how's it gonna be, because I was like, you know, the place where I live is like off of a street where people, it's not like a small little, you know, sometimes you go off like a main street and you're kind of like in a little residential neighborhood where you're like a couple turns into the neighborhood, like go 2 blocks down, then turn left and turn right and then right again or something. It's like, you know, it's not like that. Like, it's not like people would have to like go out of their way to like drive by my place. Like, it's on one of the streets that in this part of the city a lot of people drive by, so you can see, you know, the house from the street. And so since a lot of people use that route to drive around town, if they're over on my part of town, you know, they'll know that I'm home if my car is there, or they'll maybe assume that I might be in the area. And so, yeah, like, there were a lot of people I never really told that I was back, but they're like, yeah, I kind of been seeing your car here a lot, or like maybe my parents told them that I was back because like their folks talked to mine or whatever. And so there was a lot of that for a little while, and it got a little stressful last summer because I was just like, I was kind of avoiding trying to reconnect with people and catch up, but I was able to kind of do it, and it went, you know, it was a little stressful, but I think, you know, it went well. But I don't really plan on really developing some of those relationships past what they are. I don't want, what I'm trying to say is I don't really want to be like routinely involved. Like, I don't want to have like a schedule with them. like where we're calling each other regularly or seeing each other, because we all do like tennis on Tuesdays or like basketball on Thursdays or whatever. Like I don't really want to do that with them. I don't want to like get back into any kind of routine with any of them. I'm willing to hang and just kick it, but I don't really want to have like a lifestyle that incorporates them into it necessarily. But I don't hate them. I just don't want that. It's just too. There's a lot of stuff that I just don't want to involve myself with, and they're a little too close to those things that I don't want to be around, if that makes sense. They're too close to the toxic people I know. They're too close to the toxic culture that I know. They're too close to just like this other side of life that I've kind of left behind for my own good. So I don't really want to be around them for that reason, because I think it would invite all the other stuff to kind of start slowly creeping back in and having to interact with all of that stuff that I tried so hard to not have to interact with for like the last 8 or so years, 8, 9 years. Almost 10 years now, so yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I was even on topic with this, but that's kind of what I'd have to say with like fulfillment. That's kind of what comes to my mind. It's like, I don't really think for sure that anybody can really fulfill somebody else's needs, unless I think someone has to give permission for that to be a thing. It's like I have to buy into it. I have to be like, if I'm in this relationship with somebody, I'm buying into the fact that I'm allowing them to fulfill this thing for me. I'm putting that on, on them to fulfill it, versus, I'm able to fulfill it in myself. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's kind of how I see it. Like it is kind of like, somebody, in relationships, people have to create space for that and create that as a kind of option. These people just came and parked right next to me. Sorry. Okay, they moved. Good. Please move. Just go park somewhere else. Like, I park here on purpose so I can try to like record without somebody. They got a little mammoth decal on the back though. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. A little bit of how I see it. Like, there's probably more, but I don't want to make this like way too long. That's just for day 26. Food for thought. Thought for food. It's food for thought, right? Food for thought. Is that how you say it? It's food for thought, right? Dang, now I'm confused. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. I'm gonna record another episode and put it for midnight. I'm debating if I'm gonna get another book. I might not get another book. I don't really want to spend any money that is not necessary right now. I have like financial goals right now and I'm not quite reaching them. So I told myself how much money I need to be making every week. So if I'm not making that amount of money, I'm not buying extra stuff, and I'm not making that amount of money. This last week I didn't, and so I'm not trying to buy anything this coming week until I hit those numbers. I'm giving myself till Wednesday. I've got a Wednesday assessment and a Sunday assessment, and I don't even want to get into it. I create my own, like, I talk to my financial advisor and create my own. These financial advisors probably think I'm nuts, but like I kind of create my own little goals about stuff, and I kind of want to stick to that. And I thought these guys were naked. This one guy has like a nude toned bottom bathing suit, and it looks like his skin. And dude, that's funny. He looks completely naked from here. Like, you know how people have, like, a lot of times, I think most people have this, they have, like, not like an underwear line, but, like, you know, the place where most of us who wear clothes all the time, you know, you have, like, a certain tanned area where your legs are, and then, like, you know, a lot of times, like, your legs and your torso might be less tanned than, like, the rest of you. So he's got his shirt off where he's less tanned than, like, his arms and head, and then he's got these skin toned shorts on, and then his legs look dark. So from the distance that I'm at, he almost looks like he just has, like, a natural, like, tan with just like a really light skinned ass. Oh man, that was freaking hilarious. Anyways, um, this isn't a new beach, which is, there's a lot of surfers out, like, too. There's a lot of people here right now, so it's kind of like, let me see, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 14 surfers out. I've seen a few cars drive by with some boards. I see some boards on the beach. There were a couple other surfers further down, but there's this one spot right here where there's all these surfers, and so it was kind of funny. Like he's not in any kind of space by himself. So yeah, like I kind of yeah, I don't really know if I'm gonna get another book. I might just do a website thing, or I mean, I have books I haven't read yet. I don't have to, like, buy a book. I have books I haven't read yet. I just don't know. I'm not too sure if I really want to do another 30-day thing. I still do want to record daily or almost daily, as much as possible, but I don't want to do like a like, because I think my days are gonna have a little more not excitement, but a little more like action, like a little more like thought-provoking things happening as I'm kind of switching stuff up here and there, and doing a little more involvement with others, a little more social involvement with others. Yeah, trying to wait till lunch to go home. So yeah, I'm gonna record another one in a little bit, but yeah, I don't really know. I'll let you guys, I guess you guys will figure out if I do another book or another 30-day thing, because I think we're pretty much going to be at like 90 days of these like 30-day things, so I think 90 days is plenty. I don't think we need like a whole year's worth of 30-day things. Like, it's not really like a real challenge, but I you know, I don't know, I do want to read. I do like kind of like starting my days out like reading a little bit though, but I just don't know if I want to be forced to read certain content that would you know, that's like a queer writer or something that I want to like post on here. I think I want to read some other stuff maybe, but I don't really know. And if I do, I mean, I don't have to only post like queer stuff on here, but that's kind of the whole point most of the time. So, you know, get that representation up and out there. But, you know, because some people, you know, they don't have any real relatable content that they can come across on a regular basis. I know how that is, so, you know, I try to post stuff that's a little bit relevant to LGBT stuff, but it's not always spot on. Like, I try to make it a little bit, you know, approachable. It doesn't have to be like just the gayest thing on earth, but sometimes it is really gay, and that's what I like. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'm kind of sitting on the decision, but last night it kind of hit me. I was like, I don't really know if I really want to do this, but I don't want to fully make a decision yet until I'm a little more under the wire. I got a few days to figure it out. Um, I'm not really going to put a lot of pressure on myself about it because it's not really a big deal. But yeah, I'll see. I'm kind of like topic surfing. I've got some topics. I've got a topic I want to approach next that I'll post around midnight. It's kind of relationship-y. Maybe it's kind of some questions I would say I have for people who delve into straight relationships, more specifically cis straight relationships, but it could be like other types of straight relationships too that aren't cisgender people. I think people know that, right? That people who are trans can still have straight relationships, technically, if they don't identify themselves as, gay, or something that's not straight. Like there are plenty of people who identify as straight and trans. I think that's common knowledge, but if it's not, well, I just mentioned it if it's not. So, for now, that's the extent I want to post on. I don't really know if I did this topic justice. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants and didn't really plan. And, sometimes I'm just trying to, like, unload my brain. So, I don't know. When I don't write notes, it's really hard for me to, like, really focus too good. So, yeah. And stay on topic. So, yeah. Alrighty. With that, thanks for listening.